Good morning, everybody. J.R. Fisher here. This is my daily live where I answer your questions and help you out with your business so you can make some money online. Good to see everybody here today. I am going to touch upon hiring freelancers today. This is something that you will ultimately have to do once you grow your business. You're going to either hire people that are going to be local to you, or you're going to hire some freelancers, which I recommend the freelancers. Let's see here. Got a lot of good comments in here. Good morning, James. Good morning, Aldine. Got a whole bunch of different people in here today. This is Googled young internet millionaires and came up with a list of 40 under 20 years of age. Yeah, I mean, guys, this is not BS. I mean, when I teach people about making money online, they're always like, is that true? Can you really do that? Yeah, you can do it. It's done every single day. It's not a big deal. Just watch your early video. Great comparing the two platforms. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hope it wasn't one of the earlier ones like I did 5 years ago, because they were terrible. But you got to learn. You got to get things going, right? So today I do want to touch on freelancers. If you have any questions about hiring people or freelancers, or what jobs they can do for you, what sites that you can hire these people from, please put that in the comment section there. I love getting your comments there. It helps the distribution of these videos when you guys comment, when you ask questions. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Don't forget to ring the bell so that you get notified every single time I do a new video, and when I go live. Okay, that's the only way you're going to know, is if you turn on all those bell notifications, because just subscribing to the channel will not notify you when I go live. You have to have those notifications turned on, so it's so important. Do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, smash that like button down there. I need that on every single video, not just one. Don't say, well, I liked that one video a week ago. No, you got to like all the videos, okay? So let's get into this a little bit. If you have any other questions that are related to selling online, making money online, feel free to put those in the chat section there. I do want to touch upon freelancers, okay? And what is a freelancer? A freelancer basically is somebody who you've hired for a particular job or full-time that is not really a direct employee of yours. And James has got a question there. I will touch on that. How do you choose a video editor? Matter of fact, I have a video editor, and I'm going to tell you how to go about that too. So there's a couple ways you can hire these people. You can hire them for a particular job. So let's say you want to have a logo done, okay? You go to one of these sites, and I'll put some of the sites in there, and just add .com to what I put in here. I'm going to put Fiverr in here, okay? I'm going to put Freelancer in here, and just add .com, because we can't really put a URL in the chat section. They won't allow us to do that. I'm going to put Upwork in here. These are all ones that you can go to. These are all ones that I use on a regular basis. There are tons of them. There really are. But these are the ones I use. As a matter of fact, I use Fiverr and Upwork the most. But I also use Online Jobs. Okay. OnlineJobs.ph. Okay. So that's a .ph. I'm going to put that in there. So you want to go OnlineJobs.ph. Now, let me tell you what all these are good for. First off, and I'm not going to say, that you can't use them for other things, but I'm just going to tell you overall what I feel like they're good for. Fiverr, I think, is good for small, little, quick jobs, inexpensive jobs. Are there expensive jobs on there? Sure there are. But the type of things I use it for is maybe a logo, maybe it's some design work, maybe it's a recording, a voicemail recording, something along those lines. That's what I use Fiverr for. It's usually lower end type jobs where they don't cost quite as much. Not that there's anything wrong with the people on there, they're great. But I'm just saying it's usually a quick, one-off type job. You're going to spend maybe, $10 on up to maybe $100. Are there jobs on there for thousands of dollars? Yeah, but I just don't think that's the majority of the jobs on Fiverr. If we get into jobs that are a little bit more complex, I like to move over to Freelancer.com, which I don't use that much. But I do use Upwork a lot. Okay, Upwork.com. Upwork used to be, I think, Elance, and before that, I think it was Odesk or something, or they merged, or something. I don't know what it was. But Upwork is really good too. They do charge you a fee. in Upwork, but it's well worth it. I mean, come on, you can't. I hate when people say, "Well, I don't want to pay anything for anything." Well, that's not how the world works. Okay, you got to pay for something. You got to. There's always a fee involved. Somebody's got to make a dollar. So these websites have to make money. What's going on, Sid Hart? Good to see you in here, buddy. So those are the sites that I use for one-off type jobs. Now, I have a couple freelancers. Several of them actually on Upwork that I just have an open account with. So I open an account and I say this is an ongoing job. So let's say maybe they work on a Magento site for me, and when I need them, I send them a message. I say, can you do this for me? And then they just charge me what their rate is, and I get charged. And that account is always open with them. So I already know who they are and what they do, and then they can just go back and do the job. In addition to that, like I say, I use Fiverr, but Fiverr, I rarely really go back and just use the same people because they're like weird things like, recording a voicemail or something like that, some type of greeting on my phone, or making a logo or something along those lines. And you can't really keep an account open in Fiverr because it's like a one-off job. You pay what it is, and then that particular job is closed. With Upwork, you can leave a job open. Like, let's say I have a Magento developer and he's always working on my website. I can leave that job open and he just logs the hours when he works. So it works pretty good. And then the last type of freelancer is a freelancer that is actually a full-time employee, except you don't have to pay payroll taxes and all that because you're hiring them through one of these sites. That I use onlinejobs.ph for. Onlinejobs.ph is a site where I can hire somebody full-time and they can work for me full-time, and I pay them every single week. Now I usually use something like Payoneer. Let me put that in here. Payoneer. Okay, Payoneer.com. And that is a good way to actually pay somebody that's in a foreign country. Okay, I like Payoneer a lot. I think I pay 1% fee or something like that to use that service, but it's a quick way to get money to my people in different countries. And that onlinejobs.ph is a full-time employee type thing. Can you go in there and hire somebody part-time? Yes, you can. But I will tell you, and this is all people from the Philippines. Onlinejobs.ph is all Filipino employees. And yes, you can hire somebody for like a one-off type job, but the majority of the people on there really want full-time work. So if you're hiring people for one-off jobs, or you're only giving them 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, they're going to be looking for another job. Okay, so you're probably not going to keep those people very long. So just keep that in mind. Now, the other thing I would tell you is that in all countries, I would say, they kind of have specialties. So you kind of got to look at the specialties. So let's get into that for a second. When I hire somebody for high-tech work, okay, really technical type work, maybe it's development on my Magento site, I generally look for somebody in India. They're very good. They know high-tech stuff, and they're really good for that type stuff. If I'm hiring somebody and I want like data entry where it's just like, repetitive kind of work over and over and over again, and I have some one-off jobs for like entering orders and stuff like that, I go to Pakistan because people in Pakistan are really good at that, and they're very dependable, great people, and they can do a lot of that, daily, data entry type work. Now, it's not to say that I don't have people in the U.S. Matter of fact, my daughter works for us, and she does a lot of data entry type stuff and order processing, but it's more refined. In other words, it can't be screwed up. So I hire my daughter to do that because she's a stay-at-home mom. She's got twin boys that are a year old. She's got a 3-year-old. So she stays at home and does work. Sid Hart says, I'm back. Good. All right, let me look at some of your comments here, guys. I don't want to skip over all this because a lot of you guys are participating. Paul says he has used 99 Designs. I have not used them. I think I've heard of them. I'm not sure if I have or not. I've outsourced to a designer in India who gets work done quick, but needed to spell everything done. Need to spell everything. I guess you mean spell everything out. I'm not quite sure on that. I got a header done in 12 hours with 3 changes, already to load, $35. Yeah, and that's not bad. That's not bad. And a lot of people will say, well, gosh, I don't want to spend all that money for that. I want it for $5. You're going to get what you pay for, guys. So if if you're paying $5 for something, that's what you're going to get. $5 worth of work. And then you got to ask yourself, what would you do for $5? Let's see here. Sidhar says, I made some shirts with Teespring, but did not make a sale. Well, that's marketing. That's probably marketing. That's probably not the shirt. Though I don't know the shirt. It could be the shirt. I'd have to see it and see what it is. You're welcome to post that so I can take a look at it. So when you hire in these countries, understand they have different ways of doing things, okay? Now, the one thing I will tell you is that, what you should do when you deal with all of these people in all these countries is be polite. Be polite. Be nice. Don't treat anybody like they're beneath you, because here's newsflash. They're not, okay? They're just humans in another country. So you want to be super polite with them. Certain countries have certain, I guess, things that they kind of require, not require, but they expect. So if you're hiring somebody in the Philippines, there are certain things they expect. They expect to have all their holidays off. They just expect that, okay? And I allow for that. That's not a problem. I allow for that when they want their holidays off. And the other thing is they expect their 13th month to be paid for. In other words, if you hire somebody in the Philippines and they work for you for 12 months, they expect a bonus check of an entire month, after a year. So just go into that knowing that, that's what it is. No, my throat in the morning is tough. Gotta have that tea. Gotta have that tea to settle it down. So that's the other thing they expect. Also, if you get mad at one of your employees in the Philippines, they're going to disappear. Okay, if you get all upset and angry at them for them not doing something right, they're gonna just disappear, because they don't like that. That hurts their feelings. They're trying to do the best they possibly can. They really do want to please you. I've had like super good luck with people in the Philippines. I love them. I love the food. I love the culture. I love everything about those people. But you've got to understand, you've got to treat them with kid gloves, okay? They are really trying to please you. And what I found in managing people, and I've managed thousands of people over the years. I used to manage automotive dealerships, and I would have, a couple hundred at each dealership. And one of the last groups I was with in Virginia, we had 16 franchises in 6 different locations. So I managed a lot of people. But the thing I found is that if they're not doing something properly, more often than not, it's your fault. More often than not, it's your fault. Now, why do I say that? Because you're the manager, okay? I used to have sales managers, my used car manager, new car manager, whatever, and they would come to me and go, well, we would sell more cars, but I have terrible salespeople. They're just awful. These salespeople suck. I'm like, well, excuse me, but you hired them, you train them, and you manage them. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? So I think more often than not, when you have an employee that is not performing to their best ability, it's probably because you haven't trained them right. It's probably because you haven't told them what the expectations are. You have not provided what they need to excel as an employee, because an employee wants to do what you want. They really do. They just want to get it done. They want you to be happy. And if you don't, and I think it's more often than not the clear expectations. What do you expect? And I've seen people say, well, I turned this video in to my video editor and it's been 3 days and they still haven't gotten it back to me. And then I'm going to ask them, well, how long did you tell them they had to do it? They said, well, I didn't tell them, but you should be doing this in a day or two. Excuse me. They cannot read your mind, guys. They can't. They don't know what you want. Now, this is why this is so important. Let's say you have a video and you want it done in 2 days. You need to turn in the video to the person who's going to edit it and say, I need this back in 2 days. One of 2 things is going to happen. They're going to say, I can't do it that fast. And now you're going to know. And you're going to say, okay, well, when can you get it done by? And you can set up these expectations and figure out how long it's going to take them to do this. Now, I like doing this when I hire somebody. So when I go to hire somebody, that is when you really set up the expectations. You say, okay, I've got 5 videos a week I want to give you, and I need those back by X date every single week. And I want you to do this SEO, and I want you to do these thumbnails, I want you to do these things. This is when I expect it by. Is that something you can do? So right up front, I set up those expectations. I say, this is what I need, okay? And if you can't do that, tell me what you can do, and if I can work within that, I will. And if not, I'll go hire somebody else. That's the time to do this. I think too many people will hire somebody to do a job, full-time, part-time, whatever it is, and then after they hire them, they go, now this is what I want. Well, like, why didn't you tell them up front? Because maybe they can't do that. Maybe they're not capable of doing that. Maybe you are expecting too much. So it's really important that you actually set these expectations up front so you don't have these issues. Let's see here. Cheap work isn't good and good work isn't cheap. That's right, Paul. Certain countries you need to expect to bargain unless you have a price listing. Even with the price list, expect to get upsells you don't want. Be firm in what you want. I don't agree with that, Paul, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. How long did you have to train your video guy to meet expectations? How many freelancers have you gone through to get what you needed? Well, I've been in business for 11, going on 12 years. So, I've hired a lot of people, and a lot of people come and go for different reasons, It's not always that they're not doing their job. And I don't think you do have to bargain, Paul. I don't think that's necessary at all. I think you should educate yourself enough. You should know up front what a job should pay. Okay, so if I'm doing a logo and I know what kind of logo I want, I'm going to say, well, that should cost me $35 to $50. And then I actually search people who will do logos for $35 to $50, and I go hire one of them. So there's not an issue there. As far as full-time employees, I never want to negotiate those down. Okay, matter of fact, that's like the worst thing you can do, because let's say a full-time employee has listed they want to make, I don't know, $120 a week in the Philippines. And you go in, you go, well, I'll pay you $105, and if you do good, then I'll up your pay. Well, right off the bat, they're like, this guy isn't paying me what I want to make. So what do you think that employee is going to do? They're going to be looking for another job while they're working for you. So not only will you probably lose that employee, but they're going to take some of the time they're supposed to be working for you, and they're going to be looking for another job. I would much rather find somebody who wants to work for $120 a week and say, look, I'll pay you $125 a week. Okay, I just want some loyalty, and they're going to be a whole lot happier. They're going to go, wow, he's paying me, $5 more, and it's not that much more. I always like to look at the market and be a little above the market. Okay, I don't think I get ripped off. I think I get a more loyal person. When you always pay a little bit below the market, when you always try to, find the cheapest rate and do that all that stuff, you never come out ahead. You just don't, because everybody feels like you're trying to rip them off all the time. And they look at you as a cheap person. Okay, I don't want to be looked at as a cheap person. I want to be looked at as a generous person. Now, I don't want to get ripped off. If the going rate is $120 a week, I'm not going to pay $300. No, that would be silly. But I think it is important to look at the market and pay just a little above what it is. One-off jobs are different. If you go to Fiverr and you have somebody who does logos, or they do, labels, or whatever you're having them do for you, they will generally quote different levels of that job, and you can see the exact price, and you're going to pay that up front. There is no negotiation to it. But I don't like to negotiate down what people want to earn, because I do feel like they're going to be looking, and they're going to be going to other places to find a job. The next thing I'll tell you is, if you do hire somebody full-time, make sure you have the money to do it. Make sure you have the money to do it. When somebody takes a job with you full-time, like on onlinejobs.ph, they are giving, when they say yes to you, they're saying no to something else. This is true in life on everything. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another. When you say no to another, you're saying yes to something else. So when they do that, if you don't have the money, don't go in and hire somebody and say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hire this person for $100 a week, and if I make more money, I'm going to keep them on. Don't do that. Okay, if you can't afford to hire somebody and pay them for at least 3 months without your business going up, don't hire them, because what you're doing is you're taking them out of the market where they could go someplace else and go to work. And if you hire somebody for a month and then you can't afford to pay them month 2, that's just wrong. I mean, it's just wrong to do to people. Okay, don't do that. Okay, my video editor, I pay him way more than what I made in the beginning doing videos. Okay. But I knew that going into it. I knew that I need to build that up. In the beginning when he was working for me, my channel wasn't monetized, so I wasn't getting any money back whatsoever. I got money back on my affiliate links and all that kind of stuff, but there was no monetization to the channel. So I knew that going in, and I knew that I would have to do literally hundreds of videos to get to the point where I was going to be monetized. Now I'm monetized. I make a little bit of money, but he stuck with me. And that's the other thing I want to tell you. If somebody sticks with you, don't leave their pay at what it is. Okay, if they're doing a good job for you, you need to give them pay increases. Okay, this is an occupation to them. It's not a game, okay, or anything like that. So you need to pay them accordingly. Every 6 months, I sit down with all my employees. I do a review about what are they doing? What do they get accomplished? I'll pull up, some of the stuff they've done over the, past 6 months. I'll talk about our communication, all these things, and then I'll grade them in all these areas. And I don't just grade them. I say, what do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as punctuality? Where do you think you rank? And they're going to say, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, whatever the heck it is. And then I'm going to say it's a 6 or 7 or 8, 9. And then we're going to discuss why we think it's different. Okay. Sometimes I agree. And then at the end of all that, if they scored properly in all these areas, I give them a raise. Every single time I give them a raise. If you're not giving raises and you go, well, you know what, you didn't do too well this past 6 months, but let me keep you on and we'll keep working together and maybe get a raise next time. Well, if they didn't do well, why are you keeping them on? Why are you keeping them on? If they're not doing the job or they're not performing, you should be letting them go. And there's nothing wrong with that either. You can say, hey, it's not working out. I really appreciate you working with me. I'm going to have to move on, and I want to make sure you can find another job. So that's the kind of stuff you need to do. Now, if you've hired any freelancers, put that in the chat section. Paul's been nice enough to put some comments in there. But there's a bunch of you on this call right now and you're not participating. You got to participate. Okay. Put in that chat section. Have you hired people? How much did you pay? What did you get back? Other people would like to see what you've paid. I know Paul said he paid, I think, $35 for a header. You got it done in 12 hours, 3 changes, $35. Sounds like a good deal. What kind of deal have you gotten? Let me get a sip here. And we can talk about these freelancers and understand these are people. They're people. They got family. They got kids. They got relatives. They're just like you. Please, please, please don't treat anybody beneath you, or like they're beneath you. It's just not true. Nobody is beneath you. Nobody. I don't care who they are. I don't care what the job is. And here's the other cool thing that I like, the flip side to this. Nobody's above you either. We're all the same. We're all the same. Okay. We're just all humans. Okay. I don't care what country you come from. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what your political views is. I don't care what your religion is. We're all just humans trying to get through this. And if you look at it this way and you treat people accordingly, you're going to get so much more back. So much more back. And I know my gentleman that does the video edits for me, I only expect him to work Monday through Friday. And he's supposed to work 40 hours a week. I don't check his hours. That's another thing I'll tell you. On a lot of these sites, you can have these timestamp things where they have to log in and it records the hours they work. On the surface, that looks really cool. It's like, wow, I can monitor every single thing they're doing. I don't use it. I don't use it because it sets up this, type of distrust. It's like, I don't trust you, so I want you to log in. I want to see what hours you're working. Now, you and I both know we've all worked jobs. You didn't work every single hour of that job every single day, did you? You didn't. You screwed off some, didn't you? Okay? Humans will screw off some. But you know what? Probably some of the jobs that you've worked in the past, you probably put in more effort at other times on that job that you didn't need to because you had to get something done. Or maybe you did something at home and you worked on that and it pertained to your job, or you took a phone call or whatever. I don't believe that you need to monitor people every minute to minute to minute. I look at, hey, I've got this workload. This is what I need to get done. I want to make sure you get it done. Now, my video editor, knows that, and he knows he doesn't have to work weekends or do any of that type stuff. But every now and then when I've got a rush job, he'll work weekends. He'll just do it for me. he'll do some extra stuff for me, and I really appreciate that. That matters to me, that he'll go that extra mile to help me out. But if he has an illness in the family, or he's not feeling well and he can't work a day or something like that, I don't ever dock him. I don't. It's like, okay, you're not feeling well today, go ahead and take off, don't worry about it, not a big deal. And that's how I manage people. This may not be for you. I learned years ago that if you don't let people have time off when they want time off, they will just take time off. Okay, I'll give you an example. I managed hundreds of salespeople literally at the same time, and some of them would just want to screw off in the afternoon. And I would tell them, I say, look, if you want to take off in the afternoon, you really don't feel like working, you really don't want to do anything, come to me, just let me know that, and you will 100% always be allowed to leave. Maybe you're tired, maybe you want to go out to your car and just sleep for an hour. I'm going to allow you to do that. Now here's why I would do that. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy, because if I don't do that, their mom's going to die, their dad's going to get sick, their dog's going to have to go to the vet. In other words, they're going to make up excuses to get this time. They're going to get the time. Okay, they're going to get the time no matter what. They're just going to, what we're doing is we're setting up a situation where they have to lie to you to get the time. You see what I'm saying? They're going to have to lie to you. I would rather somebody was honest with me and say, man, I am just down and out, I'm worn out, can I go home and rest for a little bit? And I would say, yeah, go ahead, do it, man. Come back tomorrow strong if you would, and do a good job. And they do. They come back the next day strong. Now, if somebody constantly screws off, if somebody constantly doesn't do their job, then we just part ways. And I have no hard feelings about that. I don't mind that. Okay, I would say a lot of the people that I've fired over the years, I could see them out in a bar somewhere and have a drink with them, and we're still cool. It just didn't work out. It doesn't mean we have to be mad at each other. It's not necessary. Okay, you don't need to be mad at each other. It's just something that didn't work out. Maybe your job wasn't a good fit for them at that time. Maybe they didn't enjoy doing that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand, managing people is, I think, a skill, and it's a skill you can learn too. You've got to make sure that individual knows you actually care about them. And here's the second part of that. You actually have to care about them, okay? You can't fake it. You actually have to care about them. Let's see. I got a couple questions in here. Paul's got some questions. And guys, feel free to put questions in there. Matter of fact, I insist that you put some questions in there or some comments or something. It really helps the distribution of the videos. What's the longest you had a freelancer for? By the way, the guy who posts videos is very efficient. Yes, he is. That's Billy. He does a great job. I really love Billy and his wife and his kid, and they're just nice people. The longest, wow, I'm going to say, I've got one I just stopped with, but I had him for 7 years, and his skill level could no longer reach what I wanted to do. But I'd say about 7 years I've had one, and that's ongoing work. That's where loyalty comes in with editor. You both respect each other's values. Yes, and you have to. Why wouldn't you? Right? Why would you disrespect anybody in the world? Why would you do that? I don't understand that. I don't get that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why anybody judges anybody on anything. I mean, on anything. Am I a perfect person? Heck no. I screw up all the time. I get angry. I get frustrated just like anybody else. But here's what I try to do. I try to understand that I don't know their situation. If I'm driving down the street and somebody cuts me off, I've got a couple choices here. I can get mad at them. I can blow my horn, I can scream and yell, I can get all uptight, I can get all tense, or I can say to myself, which I do this, I can say, you know what? Maybe they're just a bad driver. Maybe they didn't mean to cut me off, but maybe they don't know how to drive well. Maybe that's their problem. Maybe they just got fired from their job. Maybe they have a family member that's sick. Maybe bad things just happen to them, and maybe that's why they cut me off. So understand, you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You have no idea what's going on in their life. You can't look at them and say, you should act a certain way because you should act a certain way. You can't do that. There's other things that are going on. Now, if you do this with your employees, it makes it a whole lot easier too. But like I say, I want to get back to set up the expectations. That's one of the biggest things that I see as a downfall. I literally have a list of things that each employee is supposed to do and get done. And if they don't get it done, I can go back to the list and go, is there a part of this you didn't understand, something you didn't know? Let's go over it. And I give them 1 or 2 chances before I ever get rid of somebody. And I find that in many cases, they didn't know that's what I expected. It was my fault. So usually bad employees are because of bad managers. If you look at somebody like Elon Musk, richest guy in the world, I bet he's good at managing people. I bet he tells them up front what he expects. And I bet he lets them know when he's happy with what they do. That's what you have to do. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to tell them, I'm happy with it. They're going to get a swell head and all this. No, you should. If they're doing a good job and they're doing something well, let them know. Don't be a jerk. Let them know that they're doing a good job. Let's see here. James says there was a guy in Baltimore who took 72 Mondays off. For each Monday, his excuse, he needed to have a tooth extracted. Well, that's like more than double the number of teeth, right? How many teeth do we have? That's an interesting question. Let me see what they say about this. How many teeth do we have? And you would think his boss would have noticed. It's 32. Yeah, I was thinking it was 32. So we have 32 teeth. So if he took 72 days off, that's 40 teeth more than what he has. So yeah, bad excuse too. He should have come up with different excuses. He could have killed off family members or something, right? That's what most of the salespeople, when I was in automotive sales, is I would say, well, gee, your grandma died 3 times now. That seems excessive. It really does. So I just tell them up front, hey man, if you want to take off, don't BS me. Just say I don't feel like being here today. Just tell me I don't feel like being here today. Be honest with me. And I'll be like, cool. Is there anything I've done wrong to make you feel that way? And they may say, yeah, I got cheated on a bonus and I need that money. I'm like, oh, you got cheated on a bonus. Let's check this out. See how I can uncover a problem by doing that? You see how I can uncover a problem by doing that? Or they may say, well, no, I just went out and partied last night and I just don't feel good. I'm like, cool. Shouldn't do that too often when you're working, but go ahead, take off. Go ahead, do what you want. It's important to let them know when good and bad communication is key. So important to build your own biz. Yes, understand that these people that you hire, whether it's a small job or a big job or full-time or part-time, they're helping you build your dream. Why would you treat them crappy, right? Now, that's not to say I let people get over on me. I don't, okay? If people aren't doing what I expect, I part companies and I do it in a nice way. I'm like, hey, it's not working out. Hey, this job probably just isn't for you. I'm sure you're going to find something better. But I appreciate you trying and I appreciate us working together. Let's stay friends. That's it. It's really that simple. And it's a whole lot less stressful too. It's a whole lot less stressful. So guys, do you have any other questions or anything you'd like to know? I spent almost this whole period today on freelancers because I know you guys are trying to hire them. I've given you some sites that you can go to. I've given you kind of a guideline as to how to manage them. And I would go so far as to say, list out exactly what you want from somebody if you're going to hire them full-time. Okay, just list out exactly what you want, what you expect. And that way, when you sit down with them and interview them, you can say, these are the things I expect. This is the amount of money I pay. Is this okay with you? Is this something that you're looking for? And they're going to say either yes or no. And you're going to know up front. Makes it really easy. The other point that I made today was try to pay a little above the market. This is not true on one-off jobs like when you're doing a Fiverr and they've got a list of a $10 job, $15 job, $25 job, because they've already put the price there. That doesn't apply to that. This applies to when you're hiring somebody maybe full-time and it's a weekly pay or a monthly pay, something like that. Let's see here what Paul got. Biggest regret I've heard from entrepreneurs is they wish they started early. Do you have any regrets with your buzz? No, I don't. And let me explain to you my progression first off. Before I went back to managing car dealerships, I had my own business for like 9 years. I managed automotive dealerships and then I became a professional speaker. I managed actually one of the largest Chrysler dealerships in the state of California. We were number 1 and number 3 in the nation. I went on the road and I trained automotive dealerships on sales. I trained the managers and the salespeople, and I owned that business for almost 9 years. At the end of that 9 years, I was getting a divorce and I wanted custody of my kids. To get custody of my kids, I had to actually have a job where I stayed in town because I was touring 7-8 months out of the year. I was gone, just speaking on the road, so I couldn't do that. So I went back into a dealership and I managed that. And then when I looked around and I said, what do I really want to do for the rest of my life? I figured out I wanted more time to myself. I figured out I wanted more time with my kids because they were growing up at that point, and I had full custody of them. So at that point, I started my online business, which was in 2009. But no, I don't really regret it. I mean, yeah, it would have been great if I would have started my business when I was, well, the internet really didn't come around until the late 90s, so I couldn't have started it much sooner, really. I guess I could have started some other kind of business, but I had owned a couple other businesses prior to that too, prior to going back into a car dealership. So no, I don't. And like I said, the internet really wasn't banging until, really the late 90s, early 2000s. So you really couldn't start it before then. And then I started mine in 2009. So yeah, I mean, I think I started at a good time, really. And I don't look at age much at all. I really don't. I'm not like the most fit person in the world, but I'm pretty good shape. I can do 120 push-ups. I can do pull-ups. I can do all those things that I should be able to do. Was on the bike last night and rode the bike for 45 minutes and burned off 600 calories. So I think age will only come into play if you don't stay in shape. If you don't stay in shape, you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you don't use your body, it's going to break down. I mean, you're going to hurt yourself bending over to pick up the remote control if you're out of shape. And that can happen when you're 40. You throw your back out when you're 40 or 35, and I'm much older than that at this point. I won't say, but I'm much older than that. And I can pretty much do anything I need to do, I did martial arts when I was younger, did Taekwondo and all that. And the other day we were working out, my wife and I was showing her some of that, and I can still do most of that. I did some kickboxing and stuff like that. So no, I don't, age, whatever, age, what was it? I read the other day, yesterday, a 117-year-old person got the coronavirus, and I think she was a nun, and she got through it and she's fine. She's 117, so who's to say what age is? Let's see here. Biggest regret I've heard. Okay, start early. I read that one. I like dealing with Philippines as they speak clear English. Some do, some don't. We'll say. Kumusta na? Let's see here. How many editors did you have to interview to get a fit? I actually interview quite a bit. I may talk to 8 or 10. People who are going to edit videos, and then I will pay them to edit a video to see what they'll do. Don't ask them to do it for free, guys. Don't ask them to do it for free. Say, hey, here's a video. I'll give you $10, $20. Edit it. Let me see what you can do with this particular video, and then I can make a decision. So the first thing I do is I get a group of them. I narrow it down to 8 or 10. I interview them, and I pick 2 or 3 of them, and I have them edit a video. I don't just use one, because you never know. One of those other ones that maybe didn't interview as well, maybe a great video editor. So give them a job and let them try it. See what they can do. That's what I always recommend, especially if you're hiring somebody full time. You want to give them a job and see what they can do. I see you found your niche and your lane. Any other businesses you explored besides cell phone cases to get your niche? Yeah, I did quite a few, as a matter of fact. I kind of graze over that, but I started with cell phone cases. I tried to do information products on eBay in 2009. That failed. I tried doing camping equipment, and I did okay with that. I didn't make much money, but I made money, so that was an important thing. I tried a bunch of different products. I mean, different knick-knack type things I would try to sell, and I kind of fell into the survival food. And then I fell into courses, and I'm doing all that now. Do you have an exit strategy for your business? I have zero exit strategy. Zero. I don't want to quit. If somebody came along and offered me a lot of money for Survivalcave food, which they have, I would not sell it. I mean, what's the point? All it's going to do is cut off that income for me. I guess if it was $1 billion, yeah, of course, everybody's got a price. But the funny thing with Survivalcave food is it's a waxing and waning business. It depends on what the politics are. It depends on what's happening in the world. We just went through the illness. I can't say the real word, but we just went through the illness. So that 2020 was really good for us. Really, really good. So in times like that, that's when I could sell that company for a lot of money. But in times like that, that's when it brings in a lot of money for me. So I don't want to sell it. And then in times when it's not doing as well, nothing's going on in the world, there's no turmoil, the wrong person's in office or whatever, and it's not doing well, nobody's going to want to buy it because it's not generating a whole lot. you know. So it's one of those businesses where I don't know. I may sell it one day. I don't know. It's just it's always been that cyclical thing. When it's doing bad, you'd like to sell it, but nobody wants it. When it's doing good, you don't want to sell it because it's making money. So that's how it is. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. I hope it helped you out a little bit. I did finish my webinar yesterday that I've been talking about. Now it's editing time, and I think I'm into about, oh gosh, about 40 minutes of it. And it started out at an hour 57, and I don't have the Q&A on there yet. Now it's down to, I think, an hour 32, but I've got a lot more editing to do, so it'll probably get close to a little over an hour, and then I'll add the Q&A to it, and then that will be live, and then you guys can actually attend that webinar if you want. It's a master class, really. It's really in depth, and I'll give you a link where you can actually sign up and attend that. I think it's pretty cool. Let's see here. I think it's important that you never gave up. I love your discipline. What habits do you find you embrace to stay effective? I pretend. I pretend. That's what I do. I just pretend. If I say, well, I want to work out, I say, okay, a person who's in shape, who could do 100 push-ups, who could do, 20 pull-ups, whatever, what would they do every day? And I tell myself, well, they would go down and they would do this many push-ups, they would do this many pull-ups, and, they would eat this food and all that. So I pretend to be that person. That's how I do it. If I want to have a successful launch on a product, which I'm working on right now, I would say, well, what would that person do? I would say, well, they would get up every morning and they would do these tasks here, and then in the afternoons they would do this, and then I just pretend to be that person. That's how it works, okay? Because if you rely on willpower, if you rely on your own discipline, that's hard to do. I'm not a disciplined person, but I can pretend to be a disciplined person. I can do that. I know it sounds crazy, but it works for me. I just think about what that person would do. What would that person do to get from point A to point B? These are the things they would do. Those are the things I need to do. It's that simple. It really is. Thanks for sharing your expertise. Enjoy your day. Thank you, James. I'm about to close down. Looking forward to next time. To have a blessed week, gang. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you have any further questions, or if you're watching this and it's not live, it's already been recorded, feel free to put your comments in there. I will, of course, respond to your comments in there. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Turn on all bell notifications so you're notified every single time I do a video or every single time I go live. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and I'll talk to you